Right. Hello, everybody. You are watching this video because you are interested in the ins and outs of geocaching and what it means to geocache, how to find a geocache, and even how to hide your own first geocache. So I am going to be giving you a slight overview of the geocaching website, which is one of the higher quality or most popular geocaching websites that you can use for creating and hiding your own geocaches around your neighborhood and elsewhere. So geocaching.com is where we are going to be, and this is what the main page looks like. And really what we want to do is make sure that we first have created our own username and password. So we have a place to not only store the information for the geocaches that we hide, but we can also favorite geocaches that we have visited in the past. We can do a lot of different things with the free version of this app. Now you can pay for the premium version, but the free version does the basic things that you need in order to successfully hide a geocache. So we're going to just look at the free capabilities of this website. So this is just the website version. There is an app that goes along with this website, and it's very similar, but the main difference with the app is that you cannot hide a geocache. You can't store information for a new geocache on the app. You have to do it on the website. So when we go to play, let's say, for instance, we found a really cool location that we want to hide our geocache. So we need to go under play, hide a geocache. And really we need some primary information. We have to check off a couple boxes before we have anything submitted. And geocaching.com has a lot of these step-by-step rules that we need to follow and qualifications that we need in order to make sure that we have a successful geocache that we are setting up. So they recommend that you find 20 geocaches before you hide your first one. Now, this is more of a recommendation than a requirement, simply because this is just to give you an idea of how to successfully hide a geocache, what a successful geocache looks like, and the materials that you need, the types of containers that you need in order to have a successful geocache, and other characteristics like that. But that's just a recommendation. So let's say we're ready to hide our cache. We need to make sure that we follow all of the hiding guidelines, because we want to make sure that it's a successful, happy, not unsafe. We want to make sure it's a safe experience for everybody, right? So we want to make sure that we are not only obeying local laws, we want to make sure that we are being respectful to landowners, whether it's public or private land that we are hiding our geocaches on. We want to make sure that we are choosing our locations wisely. We want to make sure that we are keeping a required distance of 161 meters from pre-existing geocaches, simply because we don't want to create these cluster zones of geocaches. We want to make sure that they are separated. We want to respect geocaches that have been hidden by others, and we want the same from other people, right? We don't want two geocaches right next to each other. So this picture kind of shows what the map would look like when you're trying to submit your first geocache. Waypoints that are pre-existing, so points that show exact locations of where geocaches are. You need to make sure that waypoints are not within that 161 meter buffer, which is shown with this red that is around the waypoint. So the do and don't pictures are really helpful in visualizing what the map would look like and what we're trying to accomplish here. And with this here, we have multiple different logos or pictures that indicate different types of geocaches. The same rule applies. So you want to make sure that 161 meter buffer is kept into apply. So make sure that you're not burying your geocaches, make sure that you aren't damaging property, animals, plants, or the environment when you're trying to set up your geocache, because some caches, like I will talk about different types of caches in a moment, some of them are trying to highlight different geologic features. For instance, we have a really cool rock face here at Big Hill Park that I would absolutely love to have a geocache at. If we started chiseling at the rock face, it would be counterintuitive, because we're trying to bring people there to enjoy the resource, but breaking the resource or disrespecting the resource in the process wouldn't be great. So we want to try to avoid that. And staying away from restricted areas, we obviously want to be safe. We don't want to do anything illegal, whether we think we are or not, and just making sure that we are being respectful. That is just the overall idea of geocaching. So we want to look at the geocache itself now, right? We want to make sure that the container is waterproof, because anything that's inside it, we don't want to get water damage, because the cache is just going to be sitting out in the elements, right? So we want to make sure that it is a sealed container that is large enough that we can hold a logbook of some kind, strips of paper, or a small notebook, something that any visitor can write their name and the date in which they visited your geocache. So you can have a log of it. And if people don't visit for a really long time, you know that you can maybe either readjust the location or talk to your community advisor and see what is going on there. We want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that we're friendly. And we want to make sure that we are communicating with our reviewers in case there's something going on that we need to review or adjust in our geocache. And some of the things here that are mentioned is how often we need to go visit our geocache, and making sure that if it needs maintenance, we can go and visit it. And as the owner, you do have responsibilities for your geocache. So you can't just set it up anywhere. It has to be somewhere that you can physically visit if needed. And there is a web page in which you can look at all of the different geocaches, or at least the different types that are available. And we can look at those by hiding a cache. And there are multiple ways in which you can set up your search location. Here at Big Hill Park, we already have some geocaches set up, and those are the red 161 meter buffers, like I mentioned previously. But if you have a hiding spot already, let's say you have GPS coordinates from a GPS unit that you took out in the woods somewhere that you wanted to set up a geocache. So there are different forms of geocaches. You can look at the geocache type descriptions to give you an idea of which one is applicable to you. The top three are traditional, mystery or puzzle, and multi-cache. So we're going to take a look at the traditional cache just to get an idea of what information we need. So for the most part, regardless of what type of geocache you have, you definitely need coordinates, because the map needs to know where to put the pin for your geocache, and people need to know where to look for your cache, right? So let's say, for instance, we have a multi-cache. So a multi-cache is a multi-step geocache where, kind of like a scavenger hunt, if you will, there are different steps, and each step has a hint that'll help you get to the next one. And the final stage helps to determine that that is the final cache to look for, and that is the end-all be-all to your caches. Again, we have coordinate systems that we need to apply, and then descriptions are very helpful too, not only for the people wanting to visit your cache, but also for the community reviewers. And each cache that is being submitted is reviewed by a community reviewer before it is accepted. So with that, let's say, for instance, we submitted our cache. Now we need to figure out how to find it. So back at the main menu here, we have searching geocaches near you. And regardless of whether you are on the phone, mobile app, or on the website, you can look for different caches. So this green splotch here is Big Hill Park. Let's say, for instance, we wanted to find this geocache that was done by one of the Eagle Scout troops here in Beloit. So if you go to Open Cache page, it'll give you a lot of information about not only, oh, it's a Girl Scout troop, excellent. So as different descriptions of the group, as well as different information, the GPS coordinates, the difficulty rating, the terrain rating, and the size of the cache itself. You can also see that the people who submitted the cache, or even people who visited it, can post pictures. So you can see the physical representation of the cache, so you kind of know what to look for when you're in the general vicinity. In addition to that, kind of like what I said before, you can save a cache as a favorite. And let's say, for instance, I like this cache. I want to favorite it. So if I was to favorite this cache, I would go to my profile that I personalized myself. I have a profile picture and a cover photo and things like that. My lists would show my favorited caches that I can go and visit anytime I would like. So take a look at the geocache website and the app and see what you guys can hide. And we look forward to seeing you here at Big Hill Park.